What's up, everybody? Tobin here with you. Hope everybody had a fantastic weekend out there. Lots that was going on. I had a great time on Sunday. Did like a little local touristy thing. I went to Bayside after the Frost Museum. Frost Museum, badass. Bayside has become wildly overrated down here in South Florida. I think like out of everything we have down here between South Beach, maybe we'll say South Beach is the most overrated. I think South Beach is a pretty good time from time to time. Maybe you think it's Los Olas, I don't know, but I feel like Bayside, bar none. For like everybody was like, oh, let's go to Bayside. Bayside is the place to go. Bayside has become so overrated as far as like things to do after, or just to kind of let me get that sense of Miami, feel like I'm touristy, I'm by the water. There's nothing to do there anymore. It's so dead. Maybe I'm just like late to this, and people have had this take before, but I feel like I have officially put Bayside dead on arrival. I don't think that it's the place anymore. There's like 2 parrots. There's like 4 restaurants that have completely gone and shut down. So for me, I'm outskis when it comes to Bayside. I went there this weekend. I was not boots on the ground this weekend. It was a rare non-boots weekend for Tobes. Had a lot of family stuff. My family has spring break right now, so trying to spend some time with the family. I will be boots on the ground. Going to Heat practices this week. I will be boots on the ground for the Pistons game for sure. And I'll be boots on the ground a lot next week. But my boots were, and then my boots actually haven't been there since the Oladipo debut. I've just been, busy with some stuff. A lot of things that have been going on in the life, the radio show, all that type of stuff. So, but I did see each game. And I thought that, obviously some good, some bad. I told you guys going into this that it was no slouch weekend. Like Cavaliers, Wolves, they're not like the greatest teams in the world. They're a lot better than you would think they are. Wolves have been rolling. They did come off a back-to-back, the first night of a back-to-back. They lost to the Orlando Magic to snap their win streak. But the Wolves have been good. I think like you kind of just see those brands, Wolves, Cavs, and you're like, these teams suck. Obviously, we should dominate these teams. And, they were both kind of back and forth affairs. They were both kind of dogfights where the Heat have gotten off to these great starts. They've been fantastic. And then all of a sudden they let the other team back in. They get clogged up a little bit. I know the basketball has become very much a game of runs back and forth, but this was basically definitely a theme for both of these games. I do think that some good things that definitely came out of the Cavaliers game. One, great performance from Bam Adebayo. 30 points, 17 rebounds. That's great to see. You need more of that from Bam, honestly. Like it has become incumbent upon him to dominate in every way that he can. I just think that the team just goes further. I think he's the key to them being an actual contender. I love how we're seeing him and Tyler Hero connect more. I love that Kentucky connection between both of them on lobs has been absolutely fantastic. The one that he had on Dude, where basically was hanging his deal on Buddy on his head, and then Tyler Hero gives him the old tap. It was funny because John Crotty and Eric Reed were like, did Bam get the tech? Because they kept saying Bam got the tech, and I was like, Bam got the tag? I'm pretty sure it was on Tyler Hero doing the tap, and eventually they corrected it. It was Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero getting back into that smack talking bag, man. That's what he's getting into, which is pretty great to see. You had a great performance from Max Strus, who lit it up from downtown. I had no idea that Rajon Rondo was on the Cavaliers. I didn't know that was a thing. His tour kind of continues around of whatever the hell that he's doing. I will say, did you guys notice this? And it was like, I know it's been a thing about how much Kyle Lowry chirps at the referees. Like this has definitely been like the number one thing that I've learned this year watching Kyle Lowry night in and night out. Yes, QB1, savant, chucks the long bombs, all that type of stuff. But the type of business that he goes and he gives the officials after each of these games is incredible. Like Tony Brothers looks so exhausted just from hearing Kyle Lowry talk. It was incredible. Like you could just see he was worn out, and it was the first half. He was worn out from Kyle Lowry just chirping at him and what he had for him. It was something. Jimmy Butler in this game also fantastic. He had these 2 back-to-back steals in the third quarter. Really, I think turned the tide for the game. Cleveland had gone up. Cleveland had taken the lead. And Miami started to clamp down on defense, and Jimmy had these back-to-back turnovers that turned into easy buckets for him. And that really, really turned it around. Bam had some beautiful stuff against Evan Mobley, who's obviously been one of the possibly rookie of the year this year, has been one of the best defenders already in the league, has shown some real bright spots, but Bam was really putting the work in on him. Max Strus was lighting it up from downtown. Victor Oladipo is funny because Victor Oladipo was impressive. You know, I feel like him and Bam have just like this really, really good chemistry early on. Vic, to me, like these minutes that he's going, yes, clearly the shot isn't quite purely there all the way, and it's tough to find his way within these 15 minutes. Does he go balls to the wall, or does he go about it, and does he play like he normally played? That's going to be an interesting thing. But one thing that has been noticeable is that he has been out here and that he has been really, really been able to find his teammates early on. That's been great to see because that kind of gets your chemistry going in a great spot for the rest of your teammates and people being happy to play with you. This was the fun moment though. After the game, we had Jimmy Buckets and we had Max Strus, and Jimmy Buckets after a great game has his little frenemy Max Strus there and gives him the business.
Max wasn't on the floor. I mean, you just gotta go with what you know. So Max is an offensive player. He comes in, makes shots. How many you had tonight? No, seriously, 17, 5 for 11 from 3. And that's all he got. Just offense. So when he's not out there, we get stops. When he's out there, we score points. That's it. When Caleb out there, we don't do nothing. So we win without Caleb.
I think Max is giggling. I know Max is having a good time. These guys are having a great time. There is part of me though that's like, I don't know if Max Strus knows that he can joke back. Like it's not an equal for equal relationship there. I think it's like Max just kind of has to take it, but I think he'd take it. I think he likes the fact that he's kind of the guy that Jimmy is joking with at all times. It was a lot of fun to check that out and see what they got going on. So the next night, you got the Minnesota Timberwolves game, which, again, great first half of the Heat, especially in that second quarter. They looked fantastic. They looked like they were humming. You're like, oh, this team, they're up to 17. You think that they're going to be rolling. Big notes from this one, no Jimmy Butler. So that's concerning. And I'll get to that in just a bit because that to me was kind of the biggest takeaway from the weekend. Not just that the Heat have been struggling back and forth with this, but Jimmy Butler and his health I find to be a bit of a concern. But we had a few things. One, we had Markieff Morris. He was making his return, which was great to see. It's been since forever since he was blindsided by Nikola Jokic, and Jokic was basically able to completely obliterate him when he wasn't looking. I know he gave him a little chicken wing, and Jokic thought that was appropriate to just completely bulldoze the guy when he wasn't looking. You know, he'd had this weird process where they had to go to a committee, get him cleared because they weren't quite comfortable, so the committee had to clear him. So basically it takes liability away from the Heat because Markieff Morris has had these injuries before. It's why it seems like it's taken so long, why he's been reconditioning so long, why he was tweeting so much. Things all to this event. Like, he clearly very much wanted to play the entire time. Heat, have been a little bit cautious on injuries. You think about the Chris Bosh thing. We know that they've dealt with Alonzo Mourning. You see neck. Makes you uncomfortable. So they're out there. They're trying to fix that, right? But then Markieff Morris comes out. I thought he looked pretty good physically. And it solves that backup 4 spot, which has been kind of a sore spot for Heat fans. What are they going to do there? Do they go to the buyout market? No. They got Markieff Morris now. He's back. Let's see what he can bring to the table. But then after the game, Markieff Morris was asked about where he's at with the whole Jokic thing and he goes and he tells you about, it took me a while to get over. I had this advice from my grandfather. And then was asked about, has he heard from Nikola Jokic?
For the first 2 weeks, I probably didn't sleep just based off of that happening to me and me not being able to, really control the situation. It's been one of the first times in my life where I couldn't control something. I moved past it. Took me a while. My grandfather called me a bunch of times and told me just let it go and just move on. That'd be best for everybody, and that's what I did. It's been however long it's been, and I'm back now, and like I said, I'm grateful to just be able to play basketball again.
Did you ever hear from Nikola before or after Terry?
No, I don't want to hear from him. Okay. Did what he did. It is what it is.
Yeah. What? So he's like, yeah, my grandfather, he taught me all these things. He's like, you got to really just let things go and don't do anything and all that stuff. Oh, have you heard from Jokic? F no, I haven't heard from Jokic. He knows what he did. He did what he did, is what it is. Which is, I think, how I'm going to live my life now. You did what you did. It is what it is.
Did you ever hear from Nikola before or after Terry?
No, I don't want to hear from him. Okay. Did what he did. It is what it is.
Lessons from Keith, dude. This guy has given me exactly what I've wanted to learn now for a very, very long time. He has put me in tune with myself by saying that. It is what it is. He did what he did. It is what it is. F no, I don't want to hear from him. Psh, good. Real one, dude. That's petty to the core, and I love it. Why are you going to be, what do you possibly want to hear from Nikola Jokic? He had this whole little, song and dance, boo-hoo, I'm so sorry I did it, moo. And then after, we have this whole dog and pony show of the Serbian brothers coming and sitting behind the bench with their Ed Hardy shirts trying to look all tough. Screw that. Look, the dude's a fantastic player. All credit to Nikola Jokic, and that's really the reason why everybody is, justifying his behavior, because he's fantastic at basketball, not realizing the dude acted like a complete buffoon, that he could go and just hit somebody when they're completely not looking and injure them for basically the entire season. It's clown-ass behavior. Clown-ass, as old Jimbo Fish used to say. But it's good to see him back. The other thing that was interesting in this game, other than the fact that you had, this kind of second half collapse, you did see a little bit more shooting from Kyle Lowry. He had some interesting thoughts on this. I was very, very upset with Kyle. Not upset's the wrong term. I was disappointed that Kyle Lowry is going at this point where he's taking 3 shots a game. Now I really upped it on Friday night, 4 shots. So he got the lesson. But then we had 12 attempts in the game against the Timberwolves. 4-12 wasn't a fantastically accurate game, but it basically was all from outside too. He's going out there and he's trying to drain that outside shot. I don't know if he's he mentions that there's a couple things here. He's mentioning that it's a concern. He's not concerned it's the regular season. He's ramping himself up for the real season, but also that he's trying to get everybody involved. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. And I do think that there's an element of him trying to get people in the right spots, get Bam comfortable, get Tyler comfortable, be a bit of a mentor to Tyler, to Gabe Vincent, these guys. So I definitely think there's an element there that he's trying to bring to the table. But also, he makes a lot of money on this team, and I do think that we have seen him be pretty dynamic at certain points offensively, just going in and trying to score points, and I would like to see more of that. Here he is on his thoughts on that after the game.
We're going to do what I need. I'm going to do what I need to do to win the game, and whatever that means. If it's shoot more, pass more, I'm going to do what it takes. Of course, it's probably going to involve shooting a lot more and being more assertive and aggressive. But, me personally, I just let the game, dictate what I'm going to do. And, for when it comes down to, trying to get to that end goal, you have to have everybody, firing on all cylinders and being aggressive. I'm just getting prepared for the real season, and just making sure that, I'm ready to go when it's time to go, and that my teammates are ready to go when it's time to go. For me personally, it's just about playing the game. The game is going to tell me and dictate what I need to do. And, I was coming off of, absence, so I just had to work my way back to where I need to be.
So, I'll take his word for it. Look, the guy's been in the league forever. I definitely like seeing a little bit more of an aggressive Kyle. It was kind of by nature also because there was no Jimmy Butler, so it's a tough game to kind of gauge. Also, look, this has been a Heat team that has been very, very good without everybody being able to piece things together without their stars. They haven't looked too good without Jimmy Butler. Take all the criticisms you want for him and what he does and all that type of stuff. Great. But for me, the thing that's interesting with Jimmy is this toe thing I'm a little concerned about. I'm a little concerned about it because of a couple things. One, the Heat, yes, they were on the second night of a back-to-back, but the Heat don't have a game until Tuesday, and then they don't have another game till Friday. So it's a very, very rare part of the season where you're having 2 days off, a game against a team that's not that good, and then 2 days off, and then a game against a team that's not that good. So I would have thought, like, if this is just a maintenance program thing, hopefully it is, but I would have said, hey, Jimmy, can you give us this one, and then we'll give you one of the stinkers against Detroit and OKC off. We're going to have a lot of time off this week. Don't practice on Monday. Whatever. What has me concerned is I feel like that's probably what the logical thing is, but when I hear toe irritation, we talked a little bit about this with on the morning show. It's like, is that like a turf toe thing? Because that could be something that really, really gnaws at Jimmy Butler and is uncomfortable. And basically what I'm concerned about is I don't know if it's going away. I don't know if this is something where Jimmy Butler just I don't know if he is going to be dealing with this all year. I don't know how bad it's affecting him. I don't know how bad, imagine when you just say toe irritation, you think, oh, that's like some fungus with a little weird mucus thing. But like, I genuinely have a concern, like this is something that's going to linger throughout the year, could affect him, could flare up at some point, maybe flares up during a postseason game. Has me a little worried. It really, really does. I am concerned that, Jimmy has been dealing with a lot of bumps and bruises this year, especially the tailbone, how much time he missed with that. The shoulder has been a bit of a problem. Like, he's a very physical player. He is the guy who gets his nicks and bruises. We knew that coming into the Heats. I think why some people were squeamish about giving the extension that the Heat did. And I'm sure if it was a playoff game, he probably would have played against the Timberwolves, I think. But I'm worried that it's not. I think that it's probably one of those games where you're like, hey, we kind of do need Jimmy tonight. Like Minnesota, which, by the way, weird thing with Minnesota is they almost have like this weird they're like the new Sacramento Kings. They have a weird ownership of the Heat. I know they're better this year, but even when they were like the dregs of the league, since Jimmy Butler's been here, they don't beat the Wolves. It's a weird thing. But for Jimmy, I'm just concerned that this is something that is going to linger, because I feel like if you're really comfortable playing that game or you can gut through the game, I feel like that's the game you gut through. I feel like you play the back-to-back and then you kind of just figure it out throughout the week because you got so much time off coming up this week. That's the way I would think you would do it, unless he's really hurt. Unless this is something where he really feels like he can't function and he's in a ton of pain. Like, you just don't want him to gut through it. And I worry that that's the case, because I feel like if Jimmy Butler, I feel like if it was just a nagging thing or let's just do a rest day, I don't feel like that's the time to rest. I don't feel like, I know it's second night of a back-to-back. That's usually like a chalk it up automatic. But the other team was on the second night of a back-to-back. They're a good team. These are the best two teams you're going to take on in 10 days, like up until you get into that Philly matchup next week. I don't know. Has me a little bit worried when I saw that Jimmy Butler is missing, because it's the second time he missed a game. He missed a game against the Suns, and we knew that was a big-time matchup, and he wasn't able to go. I'm sure he would have wanted to play in that game. And then he misses a game against the Wolves, his former team. I'm sure that he wants to go beat them, and he's not able to go, even if it's the second night of a back-to-back. I don't think this is just a second night of the back-to-back thing. I genuinely worry this toe thing is going to be a thing going forward. So we'll see. But the Heat, I'm going to be boots on the ground at some practice, so we'll give you some fun stuff from there, everybody. And, we'll roll on with a lot more stuff this week.